Imagine this, you're standing in a crowded room, and she's there. The kind of woman that makes the air shift when she walks in. Heads turn, conversations pause, and yet her eyes don't meet yours for long. Not because she's rejecting you, but because she's playing a game you don't even realize has already begun. Most men think gorgeous women live in some endless stream of confidence and admiration, untouched by insecurity or doubt. But what you don't see is the storm under the surface. You think her beauty shields her from struggle when in reality, it often traps her inside it. What you need to understand is this beauty changes the battlefield. The struggles she has are not the same as yours, but they are just as real, and they shape the way she deals with men. When a woman grows up knowing she can draw eyes without speaking, she learns quickly that power comes not from chasing, but from making others chase. And the more she's chased, the less she trusts anyone who's doing the chasing. That's why with women like her, attention is not currency. She's drowning in it. What matters is control, who holds it, who loses it, and who doesn't even know it's being taken from them. You might think she's smiling at you because she's into you, but sometimes that smile is a test. She's reading your reaction, seeing if you'll lean in too quickly, if you'll give away your position before she's even made her move. And here's the trap most men fall into. They think giving more attention, more validation, more emotional investment will somehow secure her. They don't see that with a woman like this. Over-investing early isn't attractive, it's predictable. Predictable means easy. Easy means forgettable. Here's where you need to adjust your entire approach. The first test with a gorgeous woman isn't whether she likes you, it's whether you can hold your center when you like her. If you can't, she knows you'll collapse later. You'll bend your boundaries to keep her, tolerate disrespect, let her moods dictate your actions. And she's seen that before too many times. You want to stand out. Don't chase her energy. Make her feel yours. Let's get tactical. Say you're texting her and she suddenly takes hours to respond, even though you know she's active online. Most men panic. They send another message, a joke, a question, anything to get her attention back. They think they're being persistent. She sees them losing composure. The correct move: do nothing. Match her pace. If she replies in 6 hours, you reply in 6 hours. Not to punish her, but to signal that her pace doesn't control your rhythm. Women who are used to attention chasing them notice immediately when it doesn't. Or picture this, you're on a date, and she starts bringing up other guys. My friend took me to this amazing restaurant. Or I was talking to this guy at work. A rookie hears jealousy bait and bites. Who's this guy? A man who understands the game, smiles, lets it slide, changes the topic to something that frames him as the center of the conversation. Why? Because reacting emotionally to bait proves she can steer you. Ignoring it calmly proves she can't. That's the difference between being evaluated and being chosen. You also need to see the psychological cost beauty often carries for her. Gorgeous women deal with constant surface-level attention, but very little genuine curiosity about who they actually are. Men want to win them, not understand them. So they create barriers, sarcasm, disinterest, emotional distance just to protect themselves from being consumed. If you want her respect, you can't push against those barriers with needy persistence. You have to let them dissolve on their own by showing that you don't need her to open the gate for your ego to stay intact. Another mistake men make is thinking they have to prove they're worthy. You don't. You have to prove you're not afraid of losing her. That's what changes the dynamic. When she sees you have other options, not because you told her, but because your behavior makes it obvious, she recalibrates. The energy flips. She starts wondering what's pulling you away instead of testing how far you'll follow. That's when you stop playing her game and start leading the interaction. This is the heart of dealing with a gorgeous woman who's secretly struggling. You can't save her from her insecurities, and you can't win her by worshipping her beauty. You win her attention by showing you're immune to the spell it casts on everyone else. That immunity comes from having your own life, your own standards, and your own willingness to walk away if she crosses them. So ask yourself, when was the last time you pulled back instead of leaning in? When was the last time you let silence speak louder than your words? When was the last time you made a woman wonder what you were thinking instead of racing to guess what she was feeling? Have you ever done this and didn't realize it pushed her away? Tell me what happened. What's the hardest thing you faced when trying to keep a woman interested? Drop your story below. Which mistake do you see yourself making the most? Be honest in the comments. Here's what you probably don't see in her, the part she hides from almost everyone. She can be in a room full of people who want her and still feel completely unseen. She's learned to perfect the mask, the confident walk, the casual laugh, the way she tilts her head so the light hits just right. But behind that, there's often a deep suspicion. Why is he here? What does he want from me? This suspicion comes from years of pattern recognition. Men approach her, and she can almost predict the script before it happens. The compliments come first, then the subtle bragging, then the sudden shift when she doesn't reciprocate fast enough, the frustration, the withdrawal, or the passive-aggressive remark. She's been through this so often that she starts seeing every new man as a potential repeat of the last. And if you're not careful, you'll prove her right without even knowing it. This is why the most dangerous thing you can do is try to win her with the same tactics every other guy has used. If your strategy is just being nicer, more available, or more flattering than the competition, you've already lost. You're showing her you've stepped into the role she's seen 1,000 times before, the role of the man who will trade his self-respect for a shot at her approval. So here's the strategic shift you need to make. Stop trying to stand out by effort. Stand out by restraint. That means you don't overreact to her highs and you don't spiral over her lows. If she's extra warm one day, enjoy it, but don't double your attention just to match her energy. If she's colder the next, don't chase her warmth back. Instead, keep your behavior consistent. Consistency is rare around her. Most men let her behavior dictate theirs. When you don't, she takes notice. Picture this: you're texting, and the flow is good. Then she suddenly gives one-word replies. Instead of interrogating her with "what's wrong" or "did I do something?" you respond at your normal pace and tone. Maybe you even end the conversation first. Not rudely, just casually. "Alright, I've got to run. Talk later." This shows that you're not emotionally dependent on her engagement level. You're here because you choose to be, not because you need to be. Another common situation: you're on a date, and she starts telling you about how exhausted she is from dealing with guys lately. This is a subtle probe. She's giving you a chance to either blend in with the crowd of men who complain about being misunderstood, or stand apart as someone who doesn't need to audition for sympathy. Instead of joining the pity party, you might smirk and say, "Then you'll enjoy not having to deal with one tonight." Playful, calm, and non-reactive. You're showing you're not just another burden, you're an escape from the pattern. Now, here's a reality most men don't want to hear: the more beautiful a woman is, the more her insecurities can grow in the shadows. Because beauty brings constant attention, but it doesn't bring constant understanding. And when no one truly challenges her or sees past her looks, she starts to define herself by the attention, even if she claims she hates it. This is where her inner struggle lives. It's why she may test you harder, pull away quicker, or throw up emotional walls. She's protecting herself from being used, but in the process, she often ends up pushing away men who could have been different. If you want to break through that cycle, You can't do it by pleading for trust or over-explaining your intentions. You do it by living in a way that naturally communicates you're not like the rest. This is where your actual life matters. Your work, your passions, your social world, they have to be strong enough that if she disappeared tomorrow, your energy wouldn't collapse. Women can sense this without you saying a word. And here's the paradox: the moment she feels you won't chase her at the cost of yourself, her guard starts to lower. Not because you're trying to break it, but because she sees she can't break you. That's when the dynamic shifts. When the game becomes less about her pulling you in and more about her trying to stay in your orbit. But this only works if your restraint is real, not an act. If you're holding back in the hopes that she'll notice and reward you, you're still dependent on her reaction. True restraint comes from having a life so full that you don't need hers to feel complete. And if you can't build that, you'll always be vulnerable to her pulling the rug out from under you. So think about this: when was the last time you held back, not as a tactic, but because you genuinely didn't feel the need to push? When was the last time you walked away from an interaction because you didn't like how you were being treated, even if she was gorgeous? When was the last time you saw past her beauty long enough to see whether she was even worth chasing? What's the hardest part for you when it comes to not over-investing? Have you ever had a moment where walking away made her chase you instead? Which of these patterns have you caught yourself in? Here's the part most men never understand until it's too late. The struggle she carries inside often makes her dangerous without her even trying to be. Not dangerous like she's plotting to hurt you, but dangerous because her defense mechanisms can destroy you if you're not grounded. She's not just guarding her heart, she's guarding her identity. And when someone guards their identity, they will test every single person who tries to get close. Her beauty makes people assume she has no reason to doubt herself. But the truth is, the more attention she's gotten over her life, the more she's had to question the motives behind it. She knows she's valued for what she looks like, but she doesn't know who would value her if that beauty faded. This fear creates an unspoken rule for her: never give anyone the power to define your worth. And she enforces that rule by keeping men slightly off balance. You'll see it in small, calculated moves. She'll cancel plans last minute, just to see if you'll still rearrange your life for her next time. She'll pull back when things get too easy, just to see if you'll chase harder. She might even flirt with someone else in front of you, not because she's interested in them, but because she's measuring how much control she has over you. These aren't always conscious decisions. They're habits built over years of survival in a world that puts her beauty on a pedestal, but rarely respects her boundaries. If you don't recognize these tests for what they are, you'll misread them as signs you're losing her, and that's exactly when most men overcompensate. They respond with more calls, more texts, more favors. They think they're fighting for her, but really, they're just proving she can control their emotional state. And the moment she sees that, her respect for you begins to slip. The only way to navigate this is to refuse the bait without resentment. If she cancels last minute, don't lash out, but don't reschedule immediately either. You can say, "No problem, I'm busy the rest of the week. Let me know when you're free next." Calm, direct, and detached. It communicates that your time is valuable and you're not putting your life on pause for someone else's unpredictability. Another example: you're at a social event together, and she drifts into a long conversation with another man. Instead of hovering nearby or interrupting, you carry on with your own conversations, laugh with others, and enjoy yourself. Later, when she comes back to you, you don't interrogate her or act cold. You simply continue as if nothing happened. That's not ignorance, that's composure. And to a woman who's used to being the one who dictates the emotional weather, your steady climate is magnetic. But here's the hard truth: this requires a level of self-worth most men don't cultivate. You can't fake it for long. If you're only pretending not to care, she'll feel the cracks. She'll sense the neediness underneath and push harder to confirm it. The reason indifference is powerful is because it's not performance. It's the byproduct of having a life so full and a sense of self so intact that no single person can shake it. You need to start seeing her tests as opportunities to demonstrate that strength. Every time you respond without overreacting, you're not just winning that moment, you're building a pattern in her mind. She begins to associate you with stability, with a man who doesn't crumble under pressure. That's rare. That's memorable. But don't misunderstand, this isn't about playing hard to get for its own sake. It's about knowing that your value doesn't spike or drop based on her attention. Once you truly believe that, the games lose their grip on you. You stop chasing validation because you already have it within yourself. And here's the irony: the moment you stop needing her to choose you, she'll start trying harder to be chosen by you. It flips the entire dynamic. You go from applicant to selector, from proving yourself to evaluating her. That's when she feels something she doesn't feel with most men: uncertainty. And for a woman who's used to having the upper hand, that uncertainty is addictive. So think about this: when was the last time you walked into a situation with a woman and felt completely at ease, no matter what she did? When was the last time you set a boundary and didn't explain yourself? When was the last time you saw her beauty, appreciated it, but didn't let it rewrite your standards? Have you ever had a woman test you like this? How did you respond, and how did she react? Which of these behaviors would be the hardest for you to ignore? Here's the thing about her inner struggle: it doesn't always look like pain. Sometimes it looks like pure confidence. Sometimes it looks like she's got every man in the room wrapped around her finger. And that's where most guys misread the situation entirely. They think they're dealing with someone who has zero vulnerability, when in fact, they're dealing with someone who's built an entire fortress around it. That fortress is made of layers. At the surface, you have the charm, the smiles, the teasing, the "I'm just having fun" energy. Below that, you have selective openness. She'll share just enough personal detail to make you feel like you're getting closer, but not enough for you to actually reach the core. And beneath that, the guarded truth she doesn't hand out to anyone easily. This is why, if you approach her like every other man, trying to earn her trust with gifts, compliments, or endless attention, you'll never get past the second layer. The key is understanding that access is earned through stability, not intensity. Stability means you're the same man whether she's praising you or ignoring you. It means you can enjoy her good moods without becoming dependent on them, and you can endure her cold spells without spiraling. Let me give you a real example. A friend of mine once dated a woman everyone considered untouchable. She was stunning, magnetic, and she knew it. Early on, she tested him hard, cancelling plans last minute, taking days to reply, even making subtle comparisons to other men. Most guys would have either blown up or started chasing harder. He did neither. When she cancelled, he said, "All right, I'll make other plans," and he meant it. When she delayed replying, he matched her pace without commentary, and when she brought up other men, he'd smirk and change the subject to something he enjoyed talking about. Over time, she dropped the games not because she suddenly decided to be different, but because she realized they didn't work on him. This is what most men miss. She's not always testing you to punish you. She's testing you to read you. She wants to know what kind of man she's dealing with. If she learns early that you're easily swayed by her moods, she knows she'll never feel fully safe with you, because a man who can be pulled in by beauty can be pushed away by it too. Now let's talk about the power shift. Gorgeous women live in a world where men bend first. They're used to doors opening, drinks being bought, and schedules being rearranged in their favor. So when you don't bend not in a rude or dismissive way, but in a calm, grounded way, you stand out. You become a challenge in a completely different sense. Not the kind of challenge that plays games back, but the kind that simply refuses to be anything other than himself. Tactically, this means setting standards early and quietly. If she's late, you don't scold her, but you also don't reward it with extra warmth to smooth over the tension. If she disrespects your time or your boundaries, you address it once, directly, and then act accordingly. No lectures, no dramatics, just a clear adjustment in how much access she gets to you. One of the most effective things you can do in these situations is redirect your energy into something you genuinely care about outside of her. That could be your work, your training, your friends, your projects. When she feels that you're already fulfilled without her, every bit of your attention becomes more valuable. This isn't manipulation, it's reality. People value what isn't constantly available. And here's the deeper truth: her struggle with herself will not end because you showed up. You are not her cure, and you are not her savior. What you can be is the man who doesn't lose himself in her storm, the one who can stand close enough to feel her heat without being burned by it. The beauty of that position is this: you get to choose her rather than be chosen by her. And once you're in that place, everything changes. She'll still test you at times, but now it's on your terms. You can engage, or you can walk away without fear. That's when you've shifted from playing her game to running your own. So ask yourself, when was the last time you made a woman work to keep your respect? When was the last time you noticed a test and refused to bite? When was the last time you looked at a beautiful woman and thought, she's attractive, but let's see if she earns my attention? Have you ever had a moment where you felt the power shift in your favor? What did you do to make it happen? And more importantly, did you keep it? Here's the final truth you have to face: the struggle inside her will always be there, in some form. You can't erase it, and you shouldn't try. The moment you make her emotional state your responsibility, you've already lost the frame. That's the mistake that keeps men locked in cycles with women who drain them. They believe if they just love her enough, sacrifice enough, or prove themselves enough, she'll finally relax and give them what they want. She won't, not because she's cruel, but because that's not how her psychology works. Her beauty has created two parallel realities for her. In one, she's worshipped and desired; in the other, she's doubted and alone. She lives between those two worlds every day, trying to balance the power she has with the vulnerability she hides. This is why she values men who don't swing with her moods, because it means there's at least one steady thing in her life. And yet, she'll still test that steadiness again and again to be sure it's real. You have to decide now whether you're the kind of man who can live in that reality without being consumed by it. That means you never make her beauty the center of your life. You appreciate it, but you're not hypnotized by it. You see it for what it is: an advantage she's learned to use, a shield she hides behind, and sometimes a prison she can't escape. If you can see all three without losing yourself, you're already ahead of most men. Tactically, the way forward is simple but not easy. You set your standards, and you live by them whether she's in your life or not. If she crosses them, you address it once, and if it continues, you walk away. No pleading, no bargaining, just silence and distance. That silence isn't punishment, it's proof you value yourself more than any relationship. That's the kind of message no words can match. If she withdraws to create uncertainty, you don't chase, you match her pace, or even slow down. If she flirts to provoke jealousy, you don't bite, you stay calm and redirect your focus to something you actually enjoy. If she throws emotional spikes to pull you into her storm, you don't defend or attack, you simply don't step inside. Every time you do this, you send one signal loud and clear: I'm not here to be controlled. Here's the paradox most men never master: the less you try to hold her, the more she will want to hold on to you. Not because you're playing games, but because your self-possession forces her to see you as rare. In a world where most men bend first, You're the one who stands tall. But this requires discipline. You can't just apply it when you feel strong. You have to live it even when you feel weak. Especially then. The real test isn't how you act when she's giving you everything. It's how you act when she's giving you nothing. If you can stay the same man through both, you've won the only game that matters. And here's where everything comes together when you reach that point of internal stability. The question isn't whether she chooses you. The question is whether you choose her, knowing everything you now see, knowing the beauty and the burden, the charm and the chaos, the warmth and the walls. You're no longer blinded by her image. You're seeing the whole person. And that's when you hold all the power, because your choice is free of illusion. So remember this, she didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect. And if you protect it now, no woman, no matter how gorgeous, will ever hold power over you again.